Welcome back to the Joust About Careers podcast, where you can learn about careers from the people who are actually in the trenches every day. I'm your host, Brian Brott, and I'm a career advisor and English teacher at Van Buren High School who wants to see all people make good career and life decisions. This episode features the highlights of the interview with Jennifer Irving, who is finishing dental school, is an ensign in the U.S. Navy, and will then serve as a dentist in the Navy upon graduation. Jen shares about her life as a dental student, how she decided to become a dentist and join the Navy, how her life will look as a dentist in the Navy, and what prospective dental students need to know before heading down that path. If you like what you hear from Jen and would like to learn more, you can always watch the full interview. Enjoy the show.
My day-to-day is in clinic. So the first 4 years of dental school is 4 years. The first 2 years were really didactic, like book focused, lots of tests and exams. And then the last 2 years are really clinical focused. So typically I go in, we have 2 clinic sessions starting at 8:30 and then they end at 4:30. So I see 2 patients a day and it's slow. I mean, that's not like a typical for dentistry, but that's how you learn and everything is checked off like step by step. But at this point, I'm done with studying. I've taken my board exam and I'm done studying. So my life's kind of free right now, which is unusual. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Dentistry is unique in that you take your boards while you're finishing school. And the reason they do that is so that you're licensed pretty much right when you graduate so you can start working. There's not really like a delay. So there's 4 different board exams. One of them was a like written exam that was several hours. I've finished that. And then there's a couple clinical boards and I'm like halfway done with those, but you don't really study for the clinical ones. You just have to do it. So and all of my classes are officially over. They ended in December. So when I was in high school, I wanted to be an orthodontist when I was in like 8th or 9th grade. I had braces and I just felt like that experience was really transformational, like made a huge difference. And I wanted to pursue that. And then for our shadow day, I remember like calling the orthodontist and I was like, can I shadow? And they were like, unfortunately, like we're closed like that day. So at that point I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll go to the dentist like that I grew up going to. And I shadowed her. And that was really when I fell in love with the career. So that became like a big turning point. And I was very dedicated like from that moment on that this is what I was going to do. So when I graduated high school, I had the intent of going to dental school. And that's kind of what led me to go to Ohio State for my undergrad because they have a dental school there. And that's something like I think is important for people to keep in mind if they already have that goal. Like if you go to a school for your undergrad that has the professional program there, you're just going to be better set up to get accepted into those programs and more prepared. When I was a freshman at Ohio State, I was pre-dental. So what that means is you go in, you have a major, but then you have a track for a professional program. That just means like you have to complete so many prerequisites to get accepted into that program. So they don't necessarily like go with the major. You have to kind of like do some work to figure out that. But I was on the pre-dental track at this time. I didn't have a major and I was attending the pre-dental club meetings. And my freshman year, I remember sitting there and it was like a Wednesday night and there was a Navy recruiter came in and they talked about opportunities in the military for dentists and what that looks like and how it can help with school. And I was like, wow, this is a really like cool opportunity. And I remember leaving, I called my parents and they were like, okay, Jen, that sounds like great. Like whatever, just kind of blew it off. And from there, I it was just kind of in the back of my mind. Nothing really came from it at that point. But then fast forward to my junior year of college, I interned in DC at the American Dental Association. And through that internship, I worked with their political action committee. So primarily what we did was we talked about dental issues with congressional members. And, one of the main things we talked about was student debt. And I was kind of like the spokesperson for dental school student debt and how that impacts like your life after school. And from that moment, it kind of became more relevant and important for me to think about how much debt really you take on for pursuing a career in dentistry and what's like a good strategy to combat that. And then also while I was there, I talked with lots of dentists and I would ask like, what's your advice? Like I'm applying to dental school. Like, do you have advice? Young student, young dentist. And they were like, oh, go into the military. Like, do it. Like, it's the best thing you can do for your career. They'll help you with school. It's a great place to start your career. So after that summer, that was my junior year, I was applying to dental school simultaneously. And I submitted my application at the end of the summer. And then when I got back to Columbus, I reached out to a Navy recruiter and then they helped me put together my application. So I applied for a program called the Health Professional Scholarship Program. So it was a 4-year commitment to the Navy and they would pay for all of my school. And so once I got accepted to dental school in December, then like a month later, the Navy notified me that I was accepted and like awarded the scholarship. And so then following graduation, I commissioned into the Navy. Essentially, I'll be a dentist. Like I'll be a fully licensed dentist working for them. So I will go to work. My work will be on a base and my patients will be sailors and we'll do dentistry. So it's not like that different from civilian dentistry. I mean, dentistry is what it is. Like it doesn't really change. The job is the same, but the environment's definitely a lot different.
Right.
We have something we have to complete that's called Officer Development School that I'll be doing this summer after I graduate. It's 5 weeks. The main thing, there is like physical fitness standards that everyone has to pass, but they do a lot of teaching about the military and the values and, how the operations work. And that is super important because also once I graduate from dental school, my rank will switch from an ensign to a lieutenant. So I'll be an officer and that training is a lot to like learn the rules of being an officer, what that means, like what your leadership responsibilities are. There's a lot of bonuses. Like if you stay, you can get retention bonuses and, they want you to like not just get in and get out, but they understand kind of either way. I think the hardest step is getting accepted. Once you're in, they'll help you. There's a lot of support to find a job and to, get your career started, but getting accepted is the hard part. So my advice is to really learn how to study, because the grades really do matter when you're trying to get into a professional program. So, there's a lot of things that matter, but if you don't have the grades, it's just like, that's kind of where it stops. So I think even if you're really naturally smart and high school seems easy and, you get good grades, try to get a 100%, try to learn as much as you can, learn how to study because that is what's going to help you get through each class and building good grades and a good GPA. So that's the number one thing I would say.
Thank you for watching and listening to this episode of the Joust About Careers podcast. I hope you learned valuable information from this career story And to be sure you don't miss upcoming episodes, please click subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform so you'll know when the next episode is released. Thank you for watching, and as always, this is the place to go to learn just about careers.